this video, I want to share with you a little about the principles of my teaching. I believe that we are God and Goddess. We appear on earth in this domain to learn how activate our ultimate power, our godlike and goddess-like power. We are like an embryo on this dream of life in this earth. This embryo is learning how to eventually born as a god and goddess. We are working with our thoughts, our vibration, our fears, our emotion, our energy, our desire, our limitations. All of them are the necessary practice for this embryo to understand how to master the energy, to master its own vibration, thoughts, faith. When we master this learning, we can master the matrix, the manifestation. I believe that the knowledge of Trimurti, Shiva, Shakti, Vishnu, non-dualism, Tantra, and shamanism can help us to understand better about the mechanism of manifestation, of understanding how our energy, thoughts, vibration, desires, awareness, and physical body are working together in order to shape this matrix, this dream of life. My teaching our body to treat in our lower chakras. We have Shakti is the house of Shakti, feminine energy. In our heart chakra, in center, we have the house of Vishnu that has the role of balancing and stabilizing the reality, and the consciousness that is Shiva, and its house is our upper chakras. I believe the main reason that is limiting us to live through our godlike, goddess-like power is the limitation that we develop in this tree house. In the house of Shiva, we got affected by the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and we start to judge everything. We start to divide everything to good and bad, left and right. That's why we lost the power of our consciousness to see the totality, the oneness of creation and life. In our heart chakra, because of our ego mind, because of fears, our desire, our selfishness, we lost the chance to truly live in love, live in intimacy. That's why also we limit the house of Vishnu. And because of sexual taboos, we limited the house of Shakti, the power of Shakti. I believe that if we learn to embrace our sexual energy, to live in love, and stop judging, reach to the unconditional acceptance and see the totality, in this case, we will be able to live like a god and goddess in this matrix. My teaching and the way of my practice with my is to help them to experience love in our community, to experience our oneness and avoid judging good and bad, and embrace their sexual energy. This is the main principles of my teaching. I believe those people who are busy to judging everything based on good and bad, and they are not living in love and have resistance, limitation to embrace their own sexual nature, they live in suffering and they will not be able to manifest love or love relationship in their reality. To live in peace, to live in love, to live in absolute health, to live ageless, to live rich, full of abundance, to live in a state of freedom that allows us to celebrate life. We need to raise our vibration to the higher domain, the domain of oneness, the domain of love, the domain of energy. As long as we are not connected with that domain, as long as we are struggling and fighting with what we see, as long as our heart is not open and we are not friend with our own nature, we cannot go higher. And that's why the limitation of 4D reality will be imposed to us. In my teaching, I believe that the greatest power is the power of acknowledgement. If we learn to acknowledge the three God that exists in us, through this acknowledgement, everything in our life will reach to the harmony, will become full of abundance, full of joy and love. In this regard, I often use this story that says that there was a king and he was interested to know, do the Chinese people are more artistic and smart or Greece people? That's why he invited the best artists and wise people of China and Greece. They bring them in one place and he provide two huge walls front of each other. They say to the Chinese people that you have 2 weeks time to make everything that you want on this wall, every art. He said the same to the Greece people to also you can create whatever you want in your wall. I will put one curtain between these two walls and after 2 weeks, I will come to see what you have made on the walls and I will judge which of you has made something better. When he came after 2 weeks, he removed the curtain and he saw that in the wall of Chinese people, there was a beautiful painting, colorful, amazing painting. And in the wall of the Greece people, over there was only a mirror. The Greece people says, we don't need to manifest anything on the wall. We just make a mirror to reflect whatever the Chinese people are making, plus to reflect the people who are between these two walls. So here we see the shapes, the colors, the art of the Chinese people and the consciousness of Greece people. I use this story to explain that the creation that we are experiencing, they are coming from two main parts. The wall of China represents the Shakti, that all the form of the colors, all the form of life exists in this wall. And front of this wall is the mirror that is our own consciousness. As much as we expand our consciousness, we will be able to reflect more of the wall of Shakti onto ourselves, onto our consciousness. The life that you are experiencing is a reflection of all the form of creation that exists in Shakti reflected on your consciousness. So our duty is just to expand our consciousness to become a bigger mirror, bigger and bigger mirror. And if we do that, more abundance, more heavenly life will be appear in front of our consciousness. In my tantric shamanic teaching that also involved with the non-dualism, I say to my student that if you have a judgmental mind, you cannot expand your consciousness because you cannot see the totality of the Shakti. In this, the Shakti is a spectrum of extreme good to extreme bad, extreme beauty to extreme ugliness. But if you limit your consciousness by judging good and bad, you always start to divide, to judge the wall, and you will not be able to see the totality of the wall, and that this will be a limitation for your consciousness. That's why to activate the house of Shiva, we need to practice non-judgmentality, which brings all the abundance and all the form into our consciousness. And because we are aware, we create a harmony of whatever that is in the spectrum of the Shakti. I believe that Kali is a one form of the Shakti. That's why it has an ugly face, because this is a symbolic message for us that if you judge, you cannot go close to the Kali and you run away, and so you will not be able to see the totality of Kali or Shakti. The Kali knows those people who are beyond judging good and bad can receive its own totality. That's why the Kali appears in a symbolic way as ugly form. And so those are beyond the judging good and bad are welcome to the domain of the Kali and can receive the totality of Shakti. And also the second part, I teach to my student to open their heart to get melted in the awareness of their heart, which is the greatest form to overcome the limitation of ego mind. The ego mind, a piece of our consciousness that supposed to help us to live in the domain of earth and manage everything, it shape an identity for itself and become very egocentric, tough, and limited in its own self. And the love is an opportunity to drop the ego mind, to get free from the resistance and prison of the ego mind. So after practicing non-judgmentality, I lead my student to come in a community and open their heart to experience unconditional love and get melted and free from the limitation, from the blockages of the ego mind. And so that love by itself expand their consciousness and also lead them to fall in love with all the beauties and all the forms and all the ugliness of the spectrum of Shakti. When we fall in love, everything that is in our beloved, good or bad, ugly or beautiful, it just looks amazing. It just looks as a form of life. And this is the awareness that we need to see the totality of the Shakti. And so this enables us to reflect the Shakti on the mirror of our consciousness into our matrix. And then in the third way, I teach to my student to embrace their sexual energy because their sexual energy is the fragrance of Shakti. The Shakti, it cannot be defined with the word. The Shakti is that much limitless that cannot be defined with the word or consciousness or logic. We can experience the Shakti, and through the experiencing the Shakti, we can get connected with Shakti by embracing, honoring, respecting our sexual energy and especially our own feminine energy. By worshiping femininity, we learn to get connected, to feel the fragrance of the Shakti and get more close with the totality of this world. In this regard, I say to my student that our job is not manifesting everything. All the form of life already is manifested on the wall of the Shakti. We are only the reflectors of the forms and shapes and colors of Shakti. To be a reflector, we must become open. We must see the totality. We must inhale the Shakti and live in love. What I share with you, this doctrine, is not mine. This is given to me through an intuitive connection with the Lord Shakti. That's why I believe the knowledge of shamanism and Tantra, which is an esoteric knowledge, never can be destroyed or disappear from the earth. This knowledge already exists in us, and by overcoming judgmentality, living in love, and embracing our sexual energy, we can be connected with this knowledge. This knowledge exists in you and in everybody else. I will be very happy to be your mentor in the journey of finding your God-like and goddess-like power, expanding the mirror of your consciousness, and live which you born for.